So this engagement, as you can see, is being hosted collaboratively between ourselves, PAAGZ, People's Action for Accountability and Good Governance in Zambia, as well as the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts, and the National Arts Council. And I think for us what is key is to ensure that we have a vibrant creative and arts sector, if at all we have one. But for this particular engagement that we're here for, it's under the auspices of the Connect for Culture project. This is a project that is being funded by our partner SELAM Sweden. I think it goes without saying that this workshop is very key and has been something that we've really put in a lot of effort to try and have, because we realize that the actors around the room are very, very instrumental if we are to make any progress towards ensuring that we have this vibrant sector. So this is also part of the objectives of the Connect for Culture, which is basically trying to reshape the perceptions around arts and culture. Out there, people might just look at it as entertainment. Some people might just look at it as passing time, but I think at the end of the day, we need to start thinking of it more of an industry, an industry that actually contributes to economic value of the country. And that's why we're here. So the other main objective of the Connect for Culture project is to advocate for more public investment towards the sector, and I think that's why you can see we've got different creatives around the room who will hear a lot more from, so that we're able to build a case at the end of this workshop.
The creative sector, mostly referred to the entertainment sector, is bigger than just entertainment. And I'm sure most of you, my colleagues from the creative sector, do understand that the creatives in any civilization, the arts in any civilization, are the engine of any development. All of us have an idea. We've never been to America, but we have an idea of what America represents. We have an idea of what America is. How did we know about that about America? It's because the creatives in America were used as a vehicle to communicate American values, American ideas, American products. Everything about America was communicated to us through the creatives. So the economic development of any civilization or society is then driven by the creatives in any given country. And I think as a country we've not taken advantage of that. We've got a lot of production that happens in the country. We've got a lot of great opportunities economically that we have, but we've not been able to tap into other societies, even in our local societies, to promote and create demand for our local productions and products and services. And as government, we are saying we want to learn, we want to understand. Most importantly, we are committed to creating a sector that creates and contributes to the economic and social development of our country.
The creative sector has remained a little bit behind, or should I say behind. And we think that this sector is very key in terms of contributing to the economic development of this country. We have seen, and we are used to agriculture, we are used to mining, we are used to manufacturing, but we think that the creative sector is also very key. The creative sector is one sector which I think has no limits. It depends on your creativity, so it has no limits. We want to position this sector as not just as an economic, as a social sector, but also as an economic sector, which can be able to also contribute to the GDP.
In the recent years, there's a word that has come up, creative industries. These are industries. So why are they called industries? Because there's a value chain. There's a creation, distribution, and the consumption. Economic impact, we create jobs, unique content, we contribute to national values, national identity, we shape ideas, we shape nations, we do so much.
My presentation is largely going to be from the film perspective. I hope to sort of enlighten you a little bit as to what it takes for us to do what we do, to be able to give you what it is that you consume. There has come a very clear need for definition. People need to know and understand what they're good at and be best at what you do. You can't be a jack of all trades and expect to be great.
The Comedian Association of Zambia is an affiliate of the National Arts Council, and we just take care of the interest of comedians. Yvonne?
Yes, but also we play a role in making the world a better place, because I mean, laughter is medicine after all. We have amazing acts who can compete with Trevor Noah. Them, I am a ventriloquist. We have only 3 ventriloquists in Africa.
When we talk about fashion anyway, when we came here, we are all dressed up. Before everybody walks in the corporate world, you're dressed up. When someone is begging, obviously you have to dress up. So we forget that before anything else, before you walk out of the house, you have to dress up. But who did the dress up? It's actually a designer. And a designer is one person who's really been forgotten in Zambia specifically.
Music back then was a passion, a hobby, and according to my father, something for dropouts, non-starters, no one with a vision or a future. A musician would work for alcohol sometimes, that was the payment, you know, a favor or two for a very long time.
So I prepared what I called my first book, and then that's when I started looking around for local publishers. There were no publishers that were ready to receive and publish just a writer who just comes up and says, I want to publish, I've written a book and I want to publish. You find that maybe they look at you and say, what can a Zambian write? What valuable thing can a Zambian publish?
Because for us as government, for us as a ministry, it is to create this enabling environment. Make sure policies are there to enable you to implement, to enable you to run with your respective sectors. But there are issues of infrastructure, even theater. How do we market it? So even as we go to these discussions, let's be all inclusive in terms of thinking broad. How do we make this sector, how do we make this sector tick in terms of economical? How do we position this sector economic-wise?
I've watched TV over the years growing, and before I used to always watch Channel On, watch music videos or MTV, but nowadays I prefer to watch Power TV, because when you watch Power TV, you see your own music which you can identify with, and I've seen it's growing in terms of, like they're saying, collaboration, the film quality, audiovisual is improving, the quality of the pictures improving, the fashion you're seeing on the videos, it's really, really evolving. And that's a very big example of how all the arts are being found. And as you watch it every day, things are changing. New releases are coming out, different locations where they're shooting from, and the type of music is changing.
There are a lot of collaborations going on. I would like us, if we could at some stage, have incentives between the sectors. Like I'll give you an example of one of the incentives that exists in South Africa in the film industry, is they're given tax rebates and tax refunds on films that engage a certain percentage of local artists, local actors. If they use local music, if they use local a local input, they're given tax rebates based on that, how much they can prove that they have engaged local.
And the current government is not into so many fees. They want businesses to flourish, make profits, and then government comes in to collect money from the profits that are being made. That's why I think this workshop will also help us understand how this sector you're in makes money, and how government can come in, or how you can help in also as artists to contribute to the treasure. But if you are compliant with taxes, government will have enough money to even allocate more money to the sector.
I think part of why we're here also is to try and identify some of those spaces that allow us to influence, and sway priority towards the arts and cultural sector. So maybe I wanted to try to understand in terms of, I think that's on the priority side of things, how do you actually incorporate these sectoral needs? What is the uptake like? How do you ensure that even before you meet, there's this prioritization in terms of the sectoral needs, and there's this representation of the different sectors. From here, what is important is for us to start working towards having a say or having some form of representation at that particular point to really, truly influence that allocation.
We have competing needs. Right now we're being told we need to concentrate on the social sector. We're under the IMF program. That's why you've seen maybe social cash transfer, we have been increasing. So the program right now is just to ensure that the social sectors are thriving. We have the education sector, we have the health sector. All these sectors are important, including the creative sector is also important, but it's about priority. So for the creative sector, what is your mandate? We look at the mandate, what is your influence out there? We look. But from this meeting, I've understood that it can help the economy even grow if we concentrate on it than concentrating on other sectors where we've been failing.
So you can see why we are this aggressive sometimes. It's because when we look at the equal distribution of resources, we are like, no, this can't happen. For how long, for instance, let me just give you an example for agriculture. We have been discussing agriculture. They have been giving, you have been giving. How much have you been taking? Sports, you have been giving. How much have you been taking? So we want to say, can you try this new wife or can you try this new?
So Article 63 of the Constitution of Zambia mandates the National Assembly to ensure equity in distribution of resources. I'm sure that is very important. So Parliament ensures equity, not equality, equity. So which means that money should go where it is needed. So there's a green paper which is presented to National Assembly for consultation. What is key is that when we are consulted, we call you so that we can also consult from you. So that is one of the avenues where you can come and interact with the green paper. So we are going to justify, give us the figures, and then we can move resources. At approval stage, Article 202 of the Constitution empowers the National Assembly to approve the budget. It also gives powers to allocate resources, but we don't change the global figure. So if the budget is 10,000, we won't change it. But we are going to change the allocations. Where is the money going? If you feel that the arts are going to contribute more, but haven't been given money, you can come and talk to us. We have the power to move resources within the budget. The Constitution gives us power to move the resources. We've implemented the budget at the execution stage. We are going to call ministries to come and tell us. Remember, we spoke about equity. And we appropriate these funds. So we are going to say, okay, we gave you the money. Arts, we gave you 1 million. Have you spent the money? So what have you spent on? So that's what the minister was saying. If they give you money, you can't spend, then you don't need it, right? So we cut it. So now at that stage, we are also going to call you to come and explain to us what you have done with the money.
I've learned over time that major consideration is usually on past performance. You're looking at performance, you're also looking at revenue, probably over a period of time. This is a sector that has somewhat been neglected for some time in terms of not having enough resources allocated to it. So in terms of performance, I would say it has been underperforming, or at least it has not been performing to its potential. So considering that you're also sitting on the committee, are you going to take that into consideration when making your decisions with regards allocating finance to this particular sector or industry.
Parliament is representation. We don't have all the expertise. So what we are going to do is, if we are going to call you to the committee or ask you to do a paper, maybe 3-4 pages, and detail how we feel we can do it together. And then we'll make recommendations to our colleague in the ministry. There will also be the minister and maybe the Minister of Finance. We're going to present this report to the Minister of Finance in the expanded committee, where we are going to give some of these recommendations of yourselves. So you are going to come to us, explain how you feel you've not been prioritized, how you feel you've been left out. As a result, there's nothing to show or to talk about, because in the first instance, you haven't been allocated resources. So we haven't been performing. So if you're going to look at that, then we'll leave you all the time. But I think the explanation, and when we brainstorm together, we are going to make good recommendation, which you can now float to our colleagues in the ministry. If you need more resources, we are going to see. I mean, it's very easy to see that this sector is one of the new wife on the block.
So if you give us proper information, when we do the recommendations, government usually implements what we recommend. So the onus is on you. What you recommend to us, if it's viable, we recommend as a committee and government takes action.
In terms of consultations, in terms of the population of this country trying to scrutinize the budget hasn't been there. So when we make the budget, for us it's fine. I said, even if the parliamentarians debate this and that, nothing will change. Nothing will happen. We're not going back to reconstruct the frame. That has always been our notion. So, but going forward with what Mr. Chikambo has said, I think it will put us now on the ground to say that there are these presentations that came in and Parliament is recommending this. And remember, Parliament takes precedence over anything. The arts industry now has a chance to come in and justify themselves of why their funding should go up, or which revenue streams they think will bring in money. You have that chance, so it's a good thing.
Lero, ukaza chichi gero ati dedi, I can't do this anymore. Chikuza chadati, okay.
Majuna dizidira.
Ufuniko kambaras lekas, please. I can't live without you.
So also we said that artists need to be schooled in the school of business and not think of it as a pastime or something that does not create financial independence. Artists need to agree on a rate or have some kind of policy, maybe through ZAM, like the way the Law Association of Zambia has, where there's a minimum rate that we charge and no one should accept anything lower.
For these two industries, the voice is that there's insufficient funding in what they're supposed to be doing. Then there's also lack of infrastructure, a lack of machinery and equipment, accessible fabric. Then there's also an issue of fast fashion, making the local fashion unpopular. Talk about capacity building and sensitization. It's incumbent upon ourselves also as the two industries to build capacity on our members, those in the creative enterprise, and also to speak to what we are doing.
So our idea is to construct an art center. So this art center would be all inclusive to accommodate all art forms, where we have probably a platform for theater, for them to come and do their work, a platform for musicians to come and do their music as well, and we could also have designers, fashion to also exhibit their works somewhere within the building, but For the writers themselves, would have a specific section where we would have publishing set up. Then we also need art education and training. As it is, I think when you look at the literary sector, there are very few, so far I only know of 3 now, institutions that offer literary training. Then we would also want rehabilitation of existing art infrastructure and building of new infrastructure.
If government contributed, for example, 1 million kwacha to your sector or to your discipline, how much are you going to raise for the government? Maybe that's a question that we need to find out. Because obviously I want to encourage the government to invest more in this particular sector. So how much are we promising to give the government back? I think that's the question that's the answer I'm looking for, which I'm not really getting.
I was seeing the presentation as it was being done, and there was quite a good breakdown. But just coming back to the issue of the numbers and the question Mr. Kangamgazi asks, I think when we're talking or interfacing with the Ministry of Finance, like they said, they would want to understand the revenues, the potential revenues that are there. So you having that experience, you having a membership, first of all, you know how many books on an average that a writer can actually produce in a year. You know how many books they can produce then in a 3-year period.
And how many books they can sell.
And how many books they can sell. So once you break down those figures, then you know the cost of doing business. And you know 1 million kwacha will get us these many writers to produce these many books. So even when we are having an ask, you know that this is the capacity that we have to produce these books, these many books. These are the monies that we stand to actually generate when we sell this much books. So it makes it easier even to attach our requests to something that's quite measurable at the end of the day. And I think that's something that we've been trying to ask of the other sectors, to say this is the only way we actually can make our case.
And we said that we needed to document our heritage and culture. We needed to facilitate job creation. We needed to market Zambia as a destination for people to shoot their films. We also wanted to increase the number of licensed films, because artists get more and they have control over their IP afterwards if they sell the product as opposed to being bought. Then we realized that Zambian stories required money, they needed finance, and there was also realization that the government needed to invest resources into infrastructure and even resource in the arts.
So if I'm given that 1.5 million to produce a drama series, what I'm doing is I'm then taking what I have, my amount of money, and I am looking for a broadcast or a platform for them to be able to air, where they are paying me back for that period of time. So to give a quantifiable figure right now, I wouldn't be able to do, but those are the avenues of consideration that can be taken for revenue to come back. There is the opportunity for me to sell that, not just locally, but sell it internationally. I can go regional on it. I was just talking to the team as well, where I was saying it would be great for us as Zambians to begin to appreciate that what we produce in Zambia, if we incorporate people within our region, we open up our audience. If I've got a drama series that I've produced and I include a storyline of a Malawian individual in there, what that automatically does is it automatically sells my drama series in Malawi, because Malawi is now invested in that. So if an investment is made into the film industry, that should be, and the most ideal direction that it should take is to empower me to be able to create content that I can sell. In that way, I am controlling the amount of revenue that's being made, and I'm controlling the amount of return that I get.
Number one, the short term, creating huge stand-up comedy shows.
Yes, the ministry can create big noble cause themed stand-up comedy shows in all the 10 provinces of Zambia. Part of the proceeds can go to the noble cause, the other ones to the comics.
Yes, the other ones to the comics. We've already started importing and exporting comics, but this is very expensive for us. So what we're proposing is you come with us on board. We start taking our comedians outside. Like when you look at me, I'm the only ventriloquist in this country.
Yes, ventriloquism is the art of talking with your mouth closed. Vantu vangu funza chikadoli chikamba bwanje.
So we need to look at how big is this particular sector and what kind of quality employment are we getting from this particular sector, and what needs really to happen for it to really give us those particular things. What is really contribution of your sector or your industry or your disciplines when it comes to issues of employment, revenue, and GDP. So, as it is now, we find that there are more than 17,000 people who are employed in the sector. When I talk about sector, in this case I'm meaning creatives and art. You're talking about 0.6%. You're close to zero. Talk about real estate, almost the same as real estate. Information and communication, you're very low. And this is as in 2022. So what we are looking at now, if your government really wants to invest in your sector, we're talking about, you need to tell the government, we can do as good as the education sector, we can do as good as construction sector, administration, all those. We can actually outclass them. The question that needs to be asked is, what are you going to do differently that you're not doing now to hit that number? When you say I'm going to improve by 50%, yes. But now you're saying you're going to improve by more than 500%. That means you're going to not business as usual, but it's going to be completely different.
Yes, arts right now we are saying it's among the lowest industries in terms of the numbers of people it is employing. But it has the largest influence on accommodation. It has the largest influence on transportation. It has also influence on trade. You know how it is when a musician has come in the town. You even increase your production as restaurants around there. As hotels, your rooms are made in a way that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You even know the answer?
Yes.
So, we have to begin talking about its influence on the other industries.
If you look at the report for NASA, which is the National State Arts Agency of the US, 2021 report shows that the creative sector contributed about $1.2 billion to the GDP. Then you also look at the Creatives Industries Development Agency of the UK, at their recent report, which is 2 years ago. It shows that, the creative sector is wide and it contributes to 3 kinds of growth. Number 1 is the smart growth, which is publishing and software. Number 2 is sustainable growth, which is architecture and design. Then 3 is the inclusive growth, which includes performing arts and carnival and etc. So I find that even on the numbers, it will be easier for us to have the numbers if we categorize this kind of arts, so that we know exactly where the money is coming from, so that the government can come and tax us very well, because they are good at that.
I think the group work was very intense today. We could see people crunching numbers, which is very good, because we are creating a story with numbers and not a story with so many words.
For a very long time, the creative sector has been perceived as a sector that you just throw in money. The money that you are ready to lose, that's when you give it to the arts and the creatives. Because there's never been an understanding of how the economic value of the creative sector. But what this government is saying is that we do understand the value of the creative sector. What that means is that on the part of government, we understand the value, but we need your participation in communicating what exactly and how exactly can government support and create an environment for you to thrive, for you to grow, for you to succeed. Because if you do, then government succeeds. One of the biggest challenges has always been that creatives have not spoken through the right channels, especially when advocating for their own things. We've spoken aloud on a number of issues, but not on issues pertaining to ourselves. So thank you very much for making the time, and I do commit that what you express yourselves in this particular proposition will relate to other offices to communicate what we feel should be done.
We have discussed, and we are looking now, we'll be looking at the position paper and how we will position ourselves, because we are aware that the budget is going to start very soon, and it's good that we were able to gather here thanks to Swedes and PAAGZ, that we are gathered already before the budget actually starts, so that then we can already know what is it that the creatives are looking for, what is it that we can do in 2025.